Hello, everyone. I am going to try to take that funky background out of there. That's sort of hello, everyone. Um, see what we can do here. Choose filter. None. Okay. Virtual backgrounds. Here we go. There we go. How are you guys doing? I thought what I'd do is a year-end thing here on YouTube and just let you know how I'm doing. Let me see if I got my camera setting right, because this old Microsoft camera that I use, because I like it so much, has a tendency to like do that focus thing. Remember that back in the day when we first started using webcams, they used to focus in and blur and then focus. You put your hand up in front of it, and all that kind of fun stuff. But let me get really comfortable here. Matter of fact, let's do something that I forgot to do, is that get something to drink while I'm doing this. This may go a little long. I'm not too sure. I just want to give like a whole update to everything that's going on with me. And you guys know I like my LaCroix. So this is sparkling water, lime flavored, and it's perfect. All right, so to start out with, thank you for your time. I don't really expect too many of you to be watching this live, because this has been such a year, I mean, of anticipation of things we think may be going right. And then we were kind of let down. And then now we have to have this. And then this is coming out. Of course, I'm talking about the pandemic and everything that's coming along with that, especially vaccination cards and vaccines. And now we're going to maybe get vaccinated for another variant of this thing. And I'm kind of thinking, if we would have left it alone like they did back in 1918, 1919 during the flu, the Spanish flu back then, that it would be done by now, right? Instead of fluffing with it. I'm not sure. I don't know. I am not that kind of researcher, but anyway. So in February of this year, 2021, I started having this feeling on my skin, like itching. And to me, that's a reaction that I get sometimes because I'm celiac. That's another story completely, how I became celiac. I became celiac from a reaction that I had to an antibiotic that was prescribed to me by a dentist. Said, hey, we're going to try this new thing, and you're going to be, it's going to clean all this up and going to be great. And I can work on you and do the root canal and everything will be great. But it wasn't. I had this crazy reaction to the medicine that he gave me, stopped taking the medicine, still had the reaction. My local doctor, he said, don't know, general practice. He said, I don't know what we're dealing with. Let's do a biopsy. When it came back, he said, you have celiac. And I didn't even know what the word meant. Celiac, what does that mean? But what it is, it's an allergy to wheat gluten, the gluten content in wheat. And so I had to deal with that for since then, which was like mid 80s, 1980s, all the way. I still have it, as far as I know. Haven't tested for it in a while. Maybe I should, right? You never know what this clinical uh, ketogenic diet that I'm doing right now, what kind of changes and bringing your body back into balance and healing that it can do. But it's just so many wonderful things I've seen since I got on the diet that, my daughter asked me the other day, says, you think you'll ever go back? And I said, I don't think so. This is just too good. It's too good of a wave, baby. Yeah. No, we're riding a nice one. That's for sure. So we're celebrating a friend's birthday, and here in Naples, went to a pizza place in January, end of January. Yeah. And I had, you have to be really careful. I mean, a lot of places serve gluten-free pizzas, which I can eat gluten-free, right? At the time, I thought, okay. So getting back home, and then those first few days of February, I started itching. I thought, gosh, I ate the wrong piece. I ate somebody else's pizza. And that's the kind of reaction I get when I get into gluten, is I start itching. And I didn't think too much of it, but the itching didn't go away. Usually after a couple of days, the thing goes away. Well, the itching got progressively worse, and I thought, okay, I'll buy cortisone cream, put it on there, anti-itching cream, right? You start thinking of these things. Maybe I'll take a bath in really hot water and kind of like just sweat this out, whatever it is. I thought about doing that. And then, of course, I thought about going to my doctor and saying, hey, this is something that I don't think I can master. Can you help me out here? And she goes, yes, let's do blood tests, which I hate because I don't like the pricking, the needle going into the vein. I don't know about you guys, but I got these veins that they're not stellar, veins. They may be better now that I've lost weight and everything, but I do have a port that they put in for the chemotherapy for the cancer. Okay, I'll catch up with that story in a little bit. But I wasn't a fan of doing the thing, but I thought, you know what, we got to find out what this is. When it came back and they did like a liver enzyme type panel, to find out about those kind of things, because she noticed I was like a little jaundiced and, some things about me that indicated maybe liver related, right? So when that came back, my liver enzymes were off the chart. They were like, in the hundreds. And she said, yeah, this is something we have to have a gastroenterologist look at. I got a guy, bless her heart, because she was friends with the person at the gastro place that did your appointments. Nothing to know, didn't know anything really about the doctor too much. And let me tell you, you got to know about the doctor. You got to know what kind of guy is this. But I went, you have total faith in your doctor. So you go, okay, if this is the guy you're going to tell me about, yeah, let's go with this guy, right? So I did, went over there. He did some tests also and wanted to do immediately a sonogram, or, where they take this device, sort of like you do when you're pregnant, you're trying to see the baby and stuff, it was that kind of thing. So here we're in the place doing the sonogram, and I'm always vocal. I seem to be anyway. I was asking the technician girl there, I said, everything look okay? I mean, can you see everything okay? She said, I can see your liver fine, but I can't really see your gallbladder. Did you have something to drink, before this test? Because you can't, because what happens when you drink something, I suppose, I'm not sure, I'm not a technician, but the gallbladder has a tendency to shrink down. So they didn't get to see the gallbladder. But when those results came back, it said, you have, and gastro guy on the phone didn't call me into his office like a nice guy would, but on the phone, he tells me I have a tumor. In his car, I could hear him, Anyway, you have a tumor. The bile duct is dilated, matter of fact, because it's being compressed so much by this tumor going around it, strangling it, that it's making your bile flow into your bloodstream. That's what's making you itch and turn colors and stuff. Your bile is supposed to go down into your intestine and it breaks up fat and stuff like that normally, right? So bile in the blood was really high, all kinds of stuff. My urine was dark, like darker color. My stool, this may be TMI, but I'm going to go for it anyway, right? End of year, we got to spill it all out there. Was chalky color. There's no color in it at all because the bile's not mixing down in you, you're not breaking your fats down, everything's going not the right way for the body. And all this because a tumor was growing there. So he said, let's put a stent in there, open that thing up. And sure enough, he did. He said, while I'm in there, I'm going to scrape off some cells, send them off to see if what you have is malignant or benign. It means if it's cancerous or not. And comes back saying that it's benign. Hey, your cancer doesn't show cancer here, you know. And so the whole family, we're all like jumping up and down, no cancer. I encourage you to get a drink. Join me. It can be stronger than that if you'd like. I'm not judging here. But no cancer, right? And then the gastroenterologist guy he just seemed like a negative guy to me. I mean, he was a negative guy. But he said, I don't believe the findings. I believe something's going on here. This looks like cancer to me. So he said, I'm going to send you up to the Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, Florida. Excuse me. That is 2 hours from my house. So made an appointment up there, went up there, and they wanted to do a CAT scan, which is a scan where it's very bubbly. They put something, this time I think they did it in the back of my hand because I do have some veins there that you can see. And they put a dye in and do like, a scan to see if anything lights up. And they did, and I don't know how they read this because a CAT scan is not like a PET scan. A PET scan's that image where, well, the CAT scan is too. I mean, you can see, your ribs and stuff as you go through the, through the layers of the image. Really looks cool, right? But the PET scan is more, think of high definition, it's even better. But the CAT scan, they showed, okay, here's this tumor and it's 6 centimeters and it's lodged right there near your gallbladder. Maybe in your gallbladder, we don't know. Maybe in your liver. Hard to tell because it was kind of fuzzy, right? But we want you to come back and do a needle biopsy. This will tell us whether or not what we're looking at is cancerous. Because if you just see a tumor in somebody's body, you can't tell if it's cancer or not, right? Just by looking at it that way. I mean, I would think, that's what she said anyway. I would think that with a PET scan where things light up because they are cancerous or they're using a lot of glucose, that you could say those are cancerous cells. I suppose so, right? I'm not a technician of that kind. Anyway, let's go on. We did the needle biopsy in April. Came back like a day later. She said, wow, this came back so fast. I don't know what's going on here, but it's good that it came back fast because that means we can work faster on it. And it shows that you do have what appears to be cancer. And then, make sure you get an oncologist down there in Naples and like a cancer center to go to so they can start you on whatever therapy they want to go with down there, which, she's telling me you're going to need chemotherapy for this is kind of what she was saying. So I head down to Naples, go back home, head down to Naples. And from there we started, you choose your cancer specialist off a website. You can get an indication from somebody, I suppose, right? Maybe many people do that. But for me, since Moffitt in Tampa said they have pretty good relationship with Florida cancer specialists, I went on Florida Cancer Specialist website. And the way you choose there is you watch videos of the oncologists, That's it. This is 2020, right? Or this year, 2021. And, I'm thinking, okay, I guess that's better than like choosing blindly, but this is kind of blindly anyway. But at least in a video, you can kind of see what kind of person, you can get a little bit out of it, like what kind of the tone of the person, like is this person like agitated, frustrated? Is he laid back? Is he my kind of person? Does he look happy? Or she? A lot of she's in there too. But anyway, I chose one, happy with the guy. And I go in for a meeting with him. I'll have lab work drawn, shows that my cancer, he doesn't really do tumor markers down here in Naples. I'm not sure why. It's a type of a marker that you can see on the blood work, the lab work, that shows if there's an indication of tumors going on in the body. And it's a really good indication because the lower it gets means the less tumors you have active in the body, right? But he doesn't use this. But anyway, we go with the blood work. Blood work looks really strong for whatever it is. At that point in my life, I was feeling really weak. And, cancer, this thing was really taking a hold. And I should back up and tell you how I got into the therapy that I'm doing in conjunction with this first meeting with my oncologist here in Naples. Now, I remember the date was March 13th, March 14th. I had already done enough investigative work on Google that I found out about the therapeutic ketogenic diet and the results they've been having with cancer. Now, how I ran into that's really weird because I was doing a little bit of research on Jordan Peterson, the philosopher guy from Canada. And his daughter has issues with health too. And somehow I got a link on Google, talked about her. And I'm not sure if it talked about keto, but Google kind of went that way. And a lot of times I think these things are divine because I'm in there by myself, just researching, right? And I come upon these people on YouTube too, the videos and stuff that are doing like a video about the latest cancer research and diet. And nobody talks about this. They didn't talk about it at Moffitt. There's nothing about that. The only thing I told them there was, I didn't want to go through surgery, and pretty sure I didn't want radiation, but I was open to just about anything else. And then I started doing my ketogenic diet because I ran across a website by Maggie Jones. Her website is Cancer V like Victor .me. So it's like cancer versus me, right? That's the way I read it, Maggie. If it's supposed to be different, didn't work for me, okay? But anyway, I went on that side and she talks about doing this ketogenic diet, fighting cancer, starving out the cells, using chemotherapy, and doing everything together as a protocol that brings down the cancer, right? Made sense to me. So from that day in March, I started making my meals and following the clinical ketogenic diet, which is a 4-to-1 diet. Means 1 protein, 4 fat. Okay, 4 grams of fat to every gram of protein. Think of it that way. Lots of fat, little protein, low calories, right? 0 carbs, or as low to 0 as you can get, and no sugar. And that was my journey. That was my path. That's how I set out. And I went to my first meeting with my oncologist here in Naples, and I told him I was doing this crazy diet. And I had even printed out some stuff, from the PubMed, from the government websites that have done clinical trials using people in ketogenic diets and cancer situations and seeing how they came out. And it's remarkable that globally, nobody has the results that you get from doing a ketogenic diet along with a cancer protocol. It's not for every single type of cancer, but pretty much for every single type of cancer. If you feed your body ketones, and the cancer cells can't dine on ketones, they can't uptake ketones because their mitochondria, the outer shell of the cell, is damaged, so they don't have the receptor for it. And you're also starving them when you do fasting and stuff, your own body cells. We've seen in so many scientific research papers that the the cells shut down and they're kind of waiting for the next meal. And your body starts using your fat repository, say, okay, we can burn fat. ketones. And the cancer cells go, we want glucose, we want carbs, or we're going to die. And we're thinking, yeah, it's the whole idea here. So, he said, when I told him that I was doing the ketogenic diet, he says, you can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't interfere with the therapy that I have for you, which was chemotherapy, right? So I started doing chemotherapy. It took a while. That was in May. It took till the end of June when I started doing the cycles, as they call them, of chemotherapy. And at the same time, I was doing my ketogenic diet. Not really too much into fasting, although I did do the fasting going into my chemo sessions. Always 72 hours. 3 days before that morning that I did my chemo, I'd be already 3 days fasting, right? Totally mitigated any side effects from the chemo, except for losing my hair. And my hair's coming back pretty good. Look at that. Yeah, see? So happy Dave here. And another thing to be excited about going into the new year, right? My hair is coming back. But I'm not sure, but I think cisplatin, which is one of the chemicals, the chemos that I was doing, does that. But I think they all kind of take a number on any kind of fast growing cell, which your hair is fast growing, right? No nausea, no diarrhea, no, sometimes I'd feel like a little weak, but that's some heavy stuff they were giving me back in the day. And, I was just so happy that if it was just feeling, like I want to go lay down for a little bit, that's fine. As long as I'm not up chucking on top of the throne all the time, didn't want that part, right? And, so bad to the point that I couldn't work. I went back to work in August of this year. I felt good enough. I said, I'm feeling good enough. I'm going to go back to work because that's part of my protocol. If you guys have done a little bit of viewing the videos, is, getting back into the social part of stuff because it helps. It helps this a whole lot, right? And if you get into a mindset where you're thinking all the time, I have cancer, could be spreading, this could be bad, this could be the end, this could be the last Christmas, the last New Year I'm ever going to see. And you know what? It could be for me. I mean, it really could be. Something could happen next year where, the tides turn and everything goes the other way. But I believe down in my heart that it'll happen even faster if you sit there and think about it all the time. You're just kind of attracted. So give yourself the benefit. As I always say, set yourself up for success. If you want success in that area, set yourself up for it. If you have a hard time not eating French fries, don't put French fries all over your house, right? Get them out of sight so you don't smell them, you don't see them. That way you won't be tempted to go for that French fry. Same thing with these thoughts. Put things out there in your mind, in your line of sight that makes you think of planning for the future, great time with family, wonderful, happy life. You got to think on these things, right? Okay. So I was, I was like pretty settled in my journey by the time I started chemo. I was doing the fasting. Many times I would fast like a day after and I learned this not too long ago, a day after doing chemo too, because chemo doesn't just work on the very minute that you get it. It's working days after you receive the chemotherapy, but you can't fast forever. You gotta eat something. And, your cells want to get back and start doing their normal thing too. And as you refeed your cells, your immune system starts getting into gear too. And while these cancer cells are going, oh man, what kind of chemical is this? I thought it was great food. And they're dying off. And then your T cells and your other immune cells come and do a number. I mean, it works. It worked for me. Put it that way. May not work for you, may not work for the person may not work for your loved one, but I I knew that going in. I knew that it may not work, right? But it was worth for me to try it, to see, and to take, as Maggie says on her site, one of the very first things is measure what you're doing. You know, if you try something new, if you do something different, measure it and see where things are going, because it's very important to do a measurement and to find out where you are and how things are in that. So, let's see, Eva's here. It's good news. Praise God, not cancers. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat here, which I hadn't done here yet, guys. Sorry about that. But measure, it's just so critical. Like people ask me, have you tried doing this? And I said, yes, I did try that. And we went for a month doing that, or 3 weeks, 2 weeks. No significant anything, no changes at all. Still feel crummy, still feel this. My tumor marker numbers didn't change at all, or whatever, you know, they're always changing, but you can see the progression, right? And you can see if you add something that's significant, it'll make an impact on something that you're doing, right? Some things, yes, that people have indicated to me, I will take long-term because they just make sense. You know, like omega-3 makes sense even if you're not, you know, on a cancer protocol, just to take it because it's a good thing for your body, you know. And there's a few other supplements that I take that are like that too, that are just like, man, it's good. Sleeping is good, right? So you should sleep. And not only if you have cancer, it's just great for your body. It's the only time, it's not the only time, but it's the best time that the body has to use to repair itself. So we did like the CT scan in April. They did another PET scan for me in the end of November, I believe. And you know, it's weird because because Dr. Kim up in Tampa at Moffitt, who is my oncologist up there, he brought up that image from the PET scan they did here in Naples, and you couldn't see anything. It was so out of focus. It just looked like, how can you? And he didn't even want to use it. You know, he said, I can't see anything on this thing. So, but they did do one then. But the image that they just did, which was last Wednesday, right, compared to the CAT scan done in April, is night and day. And it just made me so happy. I knew that we were going somewhere. You can just tell because the way you feel, you know, if you're feeling good, you have a good sense that whatever you're doing is going right, right? Because cancer has a way of, or any heavy duty disease, because I've seen this in other people too that don't have cancer, but they're fighting something else. Because of the fight that's happening on the inside of your body, it takes a toll on your energy level. You know, you're not always chipper. So for you that may be going through cancer and you're not chipper, keep you know, trying different things. I would say, you know, there's two different thoughts I have on this I want to bring you. For many people that come to me for counseling and for coaching, I have found that this is the way I see it. They're either pretty on the same level as their cancer, like, you know, here's something, we don't want it to get away from us, you know, we're catching it at this stage. Others that are like down here where the cancer, hey, this just showed up in an x-ray, you know, what should I do? And then there's others that where the cancer is like way up here and it's like, okay, we have to get a foot in front of this cancer. And those are the harder ones. It's not impossible. And for those of you that have that, and if you have a way to study, get into, look at fasting, for me, fasting, and you know, this is just something as a friend that I would tell you, not telling you as a medical professional or anything like that, but just go do the studies on long-term fasting, right? And I encourage you to watch some of the videos that are out there on long-term fasting and cancer. A lot of them put out by, you know, interviews that are done with Walter Longo out in University of Southern California, but there are others out there too that show the benefits from doing these long fasts where the not just a little tumor cell that's like over your bile duct, but if, you know, wherever it is in your body, like maybe it's metastasized in lots of places, those in general will start shrinking. Not always, but for the most part, okay? So for those people that have an issue like that going on, I want to say there may be hope for you, right? So don't give up hope, even though it seems bleak and you have other health issues going on in your body at the same time. In other words, your body, it has been given a challenge that's like huge. But remember, your body is just such a miracle in itself and what it can do. So here's the way I go about thinking with that. Like, you take every moment that you are alive here on this earth and be very careful the way you treat this thing, your body. You only got this one. This is it, right? So whatever you drink, whatever you eat, whatever you do as far as your daily routine, as far as how much sleep you afford yourself, how much exertion you put out, how much you do exercise, how much of the good things that you know you should be doing for your body that you do, how much of that you do during the day, during the 24 hours of that particular day, you have to, like, you know, we're talking like wanting to get a foothold on this big disease and other things that may be happening in your body. The best way is to set the body up for success by giving it everything it needs to be successful in repair. One of the best things that I ever heard that really helped me a lot was to stop all eating. And I see it's already 2:30 in the afternoon here, East Coast time, by 3 p.m. wherever you're at, because they're thinking this is an exception because we're all going to stay up till midnight, watch the new year come in, right? But normally, if you stop right around 3 p.m. or so, and you start like winding down at 9 p.m. over here, right? This gives your small intestine a chance to totally get everything out of it and not have to worry about insulin, anything else like that, that it needs to digest. Food is the biggest thing, food and drinks that have like things in it that the body has to secrete insulin to bring into balance. So once your body's done with that, okay, we're done. Please don't eat anymore. We're done with that. What we want to do now is work on repairs. So if you give your body the time, lay down to rest, try to get into that deep sleep, right? Where those repairs will happen. If you afford your body that luxury of giving it the time to just work on repairing this crappy stuff that's going on inside, and not digestion, which it does. If you eat a late night snack, it's going to do that and not work on these diseases that you have. So do that. I would suggest, somebody told me, be careful what you suggest. And I'm telling you right now, educational only. I'm not a doctor, not a nutritionist. It's what I've heard, what's worked for me. I'm telling you what I do, okay? It's like a big supermarket. Got all these things here. Got my LaCroix over here, my other stuff over here. And, you know, if you like LaCroix, you're not going to be picking off all this other stuff over here. You're going to go for what works for you, right? Maybe try something else every once in a while, but you don't take the whole shelf with you and just say, I'm taking all this information and going home with it. No. And I want you in this new year, if you have any kind of cancer challenge at all, feel free to contact me. Direct message here, direct message Instagram, direct message. You can find me on WhatsApp. You can find me on Twitter, all more or less the same handle, Naples Dave. Okay. So what I want you to do, if you want to, you don't have to, is to, if you want help, if you feel you need help, if you're doing okay, that's great. If you want to compare notes, I'm fine with that too. If you're going through a cancer challenge or something going beneficial to you. But what I want to do, especially in this new year, is just to reach out and help people that I know could be helped. And it won't take long to find out if this protocol works for you or not. It's not going to be something, and it's safe. Um, I'm not telling you to abandon anything. None of the medical medicines that you're taking. Just keep on going through with that. I will tell you, if you get into doing fasting and you're diabetic, that because of that whole insulin thing up and down, you do need to have somebody with you, like a nutritionist or your doctor, to keep measuring your glucose to make sure that you're not going to get into some kind of crisis here, because the body will like regulate pretty fast when you go into a fast, and it won't need the insulin, right? So yeah, but you got to know how much, how little, that kind of thing. If you're normal, don't have a problem like that, do some study on fasting and just go for it. I say, come join me. We have a fasting WhatsApp group where we share all kinds of stuff. But I think the worst thing for me would be to find out some great information like this that has really helped me in 2021 and not share it. And not share it with somebody, right? This helped me. This like turned my life around, right? But I'm not going to tell you about it. You go out there and suffer with the standard of care, chemotherapy, doing all those MRIs and the CT scans, PET scans, all the other kinds of very, very toxic chemicals. And, no, I don't want that. I didn't want it for me. I don't want it for you. But I want you to be under the care of somebody. But at the same time, I want you to find somebody, if you can, that's open to maybe some new stuff that's people have been researching, scientists, right, that have been doing some studies and some clinical trials on these things. Just published one on Twitter here just a few minutes ago about the fasting mimicking diet and how beneficial it is for people that have solid tumors. They did like 8 cycles of fasting mimicking, and it was just like day and night, what it did for people. And so people are starting to wake up about this stuff. Yeah. There are those that will criticize, but, it's along with anything, let them criticize. They criticized when they said that smoking causes cancer. Oh, no, come on. Impossible. Anyway, that's my year-end update for you. I love you and I appreciate you. Thanks for the support for 2021. Man, I'm just so fired up for 2022 and all the great things that are going to happen in that year. Hopefully, if you have a cancer challenge and this protocol benefits you, or any of my coaching benefits you at all, or any of the videos, you will pass it along as well, because people that I don't know, and then people are going to find out about what you have done. I know after we looked at those PET scans in his office a couple of days ago, my oncologist turned to me and said, how's that diet working? He wanted to know more about it because he knew the diet had something to do with my outcome, and also the fasting. He says, I know you're fasting, Dave. How's that going? I said, it's going great. I fast, it's part of it, so yeah, it's good to see when you get the admiration from these guys. And it's not, I didn't put this together, as far as this research. I took the research and said, the diet works for me. I want the diet part, and anything that they're finding new on this diet too. Let me watch people, let me hear scientists at these conferences talk about the nuances, the different things they're doing, right? The fasting, what's fasting mimicking, and can I do that? Do I need supervision? Probably a good idea, right? But water fasting, you can do those too, or fasting with soups, with broth fasting, they call it. That can be done too, all beneficial. These are long days, not intermittent fasting. These are like more longer term fasting. It's like 4 or 5 days fasting, like where you're really getting the cancer under stress. Normal cells, they go into a stress type situation too, but they shut themselves down. They're protective stress. They're good. We're going to wait until the next mammoth, the next elephant or whatever comes by so we can attack it. If you're thinking of prehistoric times, they didn't eat every single day. So sleep, I studied sleep so much and how beneficial it is to us. I studied meditation a lot and mindset, big deal, exercise, super big deal, and supplements. And these 7 things, I put together, and it's part of my protocol. And I invite you to go to the link down below this video once we get it up and published and find out more. There's videos on all 7 of those different pillars in the protocol that are very helpful, free videos. And after that, I encourage you to take my hand. Let's do this thing together. If I can help you in any way I can, I will. And if I can't help you, we'll know pretty quick, and you'll know. Yeah. And then you can go out and just keep researching. Be your own advocate in your health. It's so important. All right. It's been great. Where's the button to turn this thing off so we can get into this New Year's Eve celebration time, and New Year's? It's coming up here, right? Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm going to make this part of the permanent collection here of videos, so you can just go back and read my story anytime or listen to my story anytime you want. And I appreciate your time, your support. You guys know who you are, my keto warriors, as it were, that really have helped me and have encouraged me from day one in all this. I appreciate you too. Have a blessed afternoon, evening, whatever it is, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care.